Hello everyone and welcome back to the Great Book of Grudges. My name is Nathan, and today is going to be a rather interesting mod review. You see, it's going to be a while until we can see some Cathayan DLC. However, the community has taken some inspiration and have decided to create their own mods to see their interpretation of what they think certain things in Cathay will look like in the future. So enter this new mod, Yin-Yin the Sea Dragon and the Warriors of the Jade Sea. Yeah, this is a legendary lord and also some new units created by Paul Janan. I really hope that I'm pronouncing that correctly, but yeah, you can see the units on screen right now. It's not a complete overhaul mod, as right now, obviously without the assembly kit, they can't make custom factions, but it is their interpretation on how the Eastern warriors will look like, some Nipponese warriors too, and possibly one of the most gorgeous flying ships I've ever seen. So now we're jumping into our first unit. These are the Sea Dragons Hatamoto. So these are Nipponese samurai, as you can imagine, and even the lore, because they've added in some extra fan-made lore, you can see that on the unit card itself, makes them Nipponese. So really, before any lore buffs jump into this, keep in mind that right now we know next to nothing about Cathay. We don't know how things are going with Nippon at the moment, so this could work. The units themselves look really cool, and as you can see, they've got some pretty good stats all around. They are a Harmony Yang unit. They're also anti-infantry. They cause terror. They've got a general cool design. You can see them there. Even some of them have banners on them too, which I think is absolutely special, and it's kind of how I envision Nipponese samurai, so maybe that's what we'll have in the future. And they also have their own special passive ability known as Death Poem, which once they get below 25% hit points, they'll get an increase to base weapon damage, armor piercing weapon damage, and also make them unbreakable too. They're a very powerful unit and I've been enjoying using them. Now we'll move on to the Dragonfleet Marines. These are quite cool and quite keen on them. So they're Harmony Yin, they're a decent melee combatant too. You'll notice that they're pretty good stats all around, and they've also got access to Vanguard. So these are pretty good for a frontline shooting, especially with 120 range. It's pretty good. I'd say that if you're going for a themed army, especially with this mod, you can easily go with full range if you want to, or just full range and samurai. It really depends on your style, but these are a really good unit. These are a very, very good unit if you want to get some poxy shots out early, or if there's an area that you want to take over, so you can have your marines holding them down there whilst your other stuff arrives, and they're perfectly capable of doing the damage. So yeah, honestly, very, very good unit. Overall, really like the color scheme too. Next, we have the Jade Sea Pirates. So these ones you're kind of already used to. They're hybrid units, so they're decent in close quarters, but they're also okay at range. With 90 range, it's not too bad. They've got Harmony Yin too, and they've got Bonsai, which allows them to have a pretty good devastating charge. Not only that, but they're considered expendable because these are pirates that were brought into the Cathayan forces after they were defeated. They aren't really valuable in the Cathayan lifestyle, and they also have fear. Overall, good unit, very decent skirmisher because they can fire what's moving. It depends on what you want to use them for, but I found them quite useful, especially once dealing with, say for example, orcs. You want a little bit of firepower as you're getting close. 90 range isn't too bad. Overall stats are pretty good too. So yeah, there's nothing too bad with them, to be honest. And lastly, for units, which it's technically not a unit, we've got the Golden Heron. This is an absolutely gorgeous flying ship, possibly one of the best custom models I've seen on the workshop so far, at least for Warhammer 3, and it just looks so visually impressive. I really hope that if we do get something like this in the future, like officially, that it looks a little similar to this, because damn, this is the Dragonfleet flagship, and it's pretty good overall. You can see its stats, it's absolutely massive. It is very slow, so it will take a while. It's a moving artillery piece, and really, it's not a unit because you only get this with Yin-Yin, as she has an ability to be able to summon it in. This is the only way you'll get them, so you won't be able to doomstack them. I know a lot of people will probably be looking at those stats thinking, oh god, but yeah, it's very powerful. It's very, very powerful. It's got a few abilities which I'll be mousing over as this video progresses, and something pretty interesting here is that it will take some debuffs as it takes more damage, which I think is pretty good. It's like the wound system, but a bit more specialized, which I think is really interesting, and it's something that Creative Assembly should really do themselves when dealing with really special monsters, like say for example the Dread Saurian, or anything else that we might be expecting in the future for actual Cathay or maybe Nippon or whatever. Now, we will be seeing it in action in this video very soon, but we have one more thing to talk about. And that, of course, is Yin-Yin, the Sea Dragon. So this is a dedicated legendary lord. Right now, not available as a starting faction. Like I said, this might change in the future when the assembly kit is finally released, but you can recruit her with Zhao Ming or Miao Yin, so you've got your options, and she's pretty cool. She's a hybrid character. She's got access to the law of beasts and the law of yin, which makes sense. Again, this is the modder's interpretation of the character because we really have no lore regarding Yin-Yin just yet, other than the fact that she does exist and we know some things that she's done, but it's impressive when you see people create mods for, say, Cathay, when we really don't even have an army book just yet. She's a hybrid character too, so she focuses on range and melee damage. Overall, very good stats, as you can see, and a bunch of different abilities, and we'll go over her skill tree in just a few seconds, but we do also have to look at her dragon form, so we'll start just transforming now. This works exactly the same way as the other Cathayan legendary lords, which works out very, very well, so it's the same baseline animation. The character looks absolutely fantastic, not just in human form, but dragon form too. I mean, you can see the look, it's really stylized, it's very different, but still has that Cathayan feel, and yeah, it's just awesome. Keep in mind, again, I have to keep repeating this, we don't know how Yin-Yin actually looks, so for me, this is just like, damn, this is really good fan art in a sense, but turned into Total War, which I think is absolutely incredible. When you see modders do stuff like this, it's really, really impressive. The 3 normal units, those ones that you can recruit normally, can be found in the infrastructure area. It's a yang building in case that you need to think ahead on what to plan, because obviously you've got the whole yin and yang thing here, and all of them can be found there, so you can get them very early on. It won't take long to get the samurai too, you know, so that's just tier 3. This gives you some pretty good units early on, which will help you out with campaigns, especially if you like harder difficulties and you just kind of want to have a little bit of extra push. It helps with Miao Ying, that's for sure. And obviously we need to talk about Yin-Yin too, who is your legendary lord. She's available at turn 1, and it doesn't matter, you can play any of the 2 available Cathayan lords at the moment, so she's available to both as the player, and she's pretty good overall, like we've already seen her stats and all that. She's got a very large dedicated tree with her own unique skill line, which makes her even stronger, gives her poison attacks too, and just a few different buffs you can see there, even increasing trade and income from ports. I mean, we're kind of missing ports out in Cathay at the moment. That's been a running joke for a while, but you never know, or you could just take over some other ports, so that works either way. And obviously, if you want to get the big flying tank, well, you need to wait until rank 22, you need to focus around that and just get the skill points up. Either way, everything works out really well. I honestly really like this character. It does help when it comes to the beginning of Cathay campaigns, but we'll talk about that in a little bit now. Okay, so now we're here with a random custom battle here. We've got a randomized army of Nurgle, which has Kogarth and a bunch of different things. I'm only using units supplied by the mod. I've also got the flagship at the very beginning because you can have them there as a unit when in custom battles, but in campaigns you have to summon them in. And I will summon in a second one, that's just to show off the summon, but that's pretty much near the end. So I've played for a few hours, and I must say the units are quite interesting. The pirates I haven't used too much, but that's mainly because I've been playing in a pretty aggressive way, and I kind of wanted to use the samurai a lot, because it's as close to Nippon as we're going to get at the very moment, and yeah. But I must say that they do help. The pirates aren't, like, horrible. If I have to compare them to something, it's like the Free Company Militia, but they've got better stats overall, and obviously having the better charge does make them a lot more useful. When it comes to the Marines, they're pretty good at doing a lot of damage too. The rate of fire is quite quick too. The Samurai, well, yeah, I mean, you know, you've got an anti-infantry unit. Like, I would say that the army itself would not really work in the normal circumstances unless you summon very early or you had one like this. You needed to have the flagship to be able to do a lot of damage. It does an incredible amount of damage, but then again, you can only have one. and it's important to keep an eye on it because it can do a lot of friendly fire to you. You will see it during this video. Yin-Yin's pretty cool overall because you do get a decent amount of firepower with her. You've got a lot of different firepower anyway with this mod. It adds something to Cafe, which I think Cafe kind of needs at the moment. We know that Cafe is eventually going to get pretty much a lot of DLC in the future, but yeah, their roster is kind of bare at the moment. So if we go through a campaign perspective, I've been using these units, it's been helpful, especially, say, for example, the Samurai itself. It's great to have against fighting against Nurgle because they're quite durable. I've been playing mostly as Miao Yin, as it's probably the harder campaign of the two. And Yin-Yin does make it a lot more bearable. Having two legendary lords does kind of help. Especially, and I don't know if this is just me, but I always have this issue where if I play as one of the Cathayan dragons, by the time that I actually get to be able to confederate other Cathayan factions, or at least the other dragon, the dragon's dead. So if I'm playing as, say, Zhao Ming, which is the one I prefer, Miao Yin just ends up getting slaughtered a lot. Well, it's kind of how it works because Kairos does have an easy way in. If you're playing the reverse, it's not usually the case because Zhao Ming has a pretty chill campaign. But, you know, having an extra lord does help, and it makes you get power a lot quicker, so you're able to just, like, go and solidify yourself to be able to confederate the other one if you want to, of course. But let's be honest, many of us play this game like we play Pokemon and we want to get as many legendary lords as we can for our specific faction, and I think it works out quite well. It does help to have a powerful legendary lord, especially if you're playing harder difficulties, to defend the Great Bastion whilst you're also moving into the other Cathayan areas, because, well, you know, it can get a little bit annoying. But overall, I would say that the mod really does help. It adds in some flavor, it adds in some cooler units, and really, like I said, we need more Cathayan DLC in the future. So until then, I'm really happy with these types of things because it really adds in some flavor. Plus, the new Legendary Lord is also pretty cool. I know I've been repeating myself a lot here, but I'm really impressed, and that's just the main thing. But with all that being said, I'm going to let the battle play out now. And you can see a few things. You can see, you've probably already been able to see quite a decent amount of damage overall. And yeah, let me know what you guys think. It'll be linked in the description below as always.
Mind sharper. Yes, indeed. This is it. Seeking advantage. Never surrender. They shall fall. The dragons chose me.